In a jungle, there are hundreds of animals, each one fighting, each one surviving, each one believing that they are the king. But the truth is simple: a jungle never has many kings, it has only one lion. In today's world, the jungle has changed. It's no longer trees and wild animals, it's people, it's power, it's influence. Everyone wants to lead, everyone wants to control, but very few are remembered. This is the story of a man who did not just become famous, he became something more. Thalapathy Vijay, a name that started as an actor but slowly turned into a movement. For years, people watched him on screen, fighting villains, standing for justice, protecting the weak. It was cinema, but for the audience, it felt real. Because sometimes people don't just watch a hero, they believe in him. Fans did not just celebrate his movies, they followed his words, they repeated his dialogues, they saw hope in his presence. But here is the question: what happens when a real hero decides to step into the real world? At first, no one took it seriously. Another actor, another fame story, another temporary wave. Because the system has seen many come and many disappear. But this time, something was different. He did not rush, he did not shout, he did not try to prove anything overnight. Instead, he watched, he understood, he listened. He saw people struggling, families fighting to survive, youngsters losing direction, voices going unheard, and slowly the silence inside him turned into a decision not to act, but to act in real life. Because leadership is not about power, it's about responsibility. And responsibility is not chosen by everyone, it chooses only a few. When he took his first step, the reaction was mixed. Some supported, some doubted, some laughed, because when a lion is still, it looks calm. But when it starts moving, the jungle pays attention. Slowly, people started noticing not the celebrity, but the intention, not the fame, but the focus. He wasn't trying to impress, he wasn't trying to dominate, he was trying to connect. And that's when it started. One person believed, then 10, then hundreds, then thousands, and before anyone realized it, it wasn't just support anymore, it was a wave that could not be ignored because real power does not come from position, it comes from people. And when people stand together, even the strongest systems shake. But every rise comes with resistance. Because in a jungle, animals don't fear each other, they fear the lion. And now the jungle has started noticing a new presence, a new energy, a new leader in the making. This was just the beginning because the real journey was about to start. One lion does not prove its strength, it shows it when the time comes. Every big change starts small: a thought, a step, a decision, and something. That's all it takes. After the first step, people did not react immediately because trust is not given easily, it is earned over time. Thalapathy Vijay understood this. He did not try to rush into power. He did not make loud promises. Instead, he did something simple. He showed up. He met people, not on big stages, but in small places, villages, streets, homes. He listened, not like a celebrity, but like one among them. And slowly, something started changing. People who once saw him as an actor started seeing him as their own. A student said, "He understands us." A farmer said, "He listens to us." A worker said, "He stands with us." These weren't headlines, these weren't trending topics, but these were real voices. And real voices create real moments. Day passed, weeks passed, months passed, and that small support started growing from hundreds to thousands to lakhs. Social media started noticing, new channels started discussing, is this just popularity or something bigger? Because this did not feel like hype, it felt like belief. But where there is belief, there will also be doubt. Opposition voices grew louder. He is just an actor. He does not understand politics. He can't survive in this system. Because the system does not change easily. It resists, it cautions, it tests, and now he was being tested. Every move was watched, every word was judged, every step was questioned. But he did not react. He did not argue. He did not try to prove others wrong. He stayed focused. Because a lion does not waste time answering every noise. It waits, it observes, and when the time comes, it acts. There were moments when things got difficult. Criticism increased, pressure increased, expectations increased. but so did support, because people were watching closely, not just his success, but his patience, and that patience became his strength. Instead of reacting to negativity, he responded with action, helping where it mattered, speaking when it was needed, standing when it was difficult. Slowly, the narrative started changing from "can he do it" to "he might actually do it." That's when the wave truly began. Not a loud wave, not a sudden wave, but a steady wave, the kind that grows quietly and becomes unstoppable. Because real change does not come from noise, it comes from consistency, and consistency is something very few can maintain. But he did. Day by day, step by step, voice by voice. The lion was no longer hidden. The jungle was starting to feel it. And this was just the beginning of the wave, because the next phase was going to shake everything. When people believe in you, you don't need to prove power, you become it. Power does not always come from position, sometimes it comes from people. And in his journey, there was one force that no one could ignore: his fans. For years, they stood with him in theaters, on streets, on social media. They celebrated every release, they defended every criticism, they believed without conditions. But now, something had changed. This was no longer about cinema, this was about something bigger. The fans were no longer just fans, they were becoming a movement, a force, an army. Because when belief becomes actions, it becomes unstoppable. Across cities, across villages, across Tamil Nadu, his name echoed, not just in theaters, but in real life. Youngsters gathered, fan clubs became active, groups turned into organized teams. They did not wait for instructions, they acted, helping people, supporting communities, standing for causes. Because for them, he wasn't just a star, he was an inspiration, and inspiration creates leaders. But with great support comes great responsibility, because now every action mattered more. Every word carried weight. Every decision affected millions. And the system noticed this was no longer an individual. This was influence. This was reach. This was power without position. And that is the most dangerous kind of power, because it cannot be controlled easily. It cannot be silenced quickly. It cannot be ignored anymore. Questions started rising again. Is this just fan craze, or is this beginning of something big? Because fan bases come and go, but moments stay. And this was starting to look like a moment. From celebrations to responsibilities, from cheering to changing. The transformation had begun. Parents started trusting him, youth started following him, communities started depending on him, and slowly the line disappeared between actor and leader, between actor and leader. Because a true leader is not chosen by himself, he is chosen by the people. And now the people have started choosing, not loudly, not suddenly, but clearly. The lion was no longer alone. It had an army. And when a lion has an army behind it, the jungle is about to change forever. A single lion is powerful, but a lion with an army is unstoppable. Every rise creates attention, but when that rise becomes powerful, it creates fear, and fear always reacts. By now, Thalapathy Vijay was no longer just a public figure. He had become influence, a voice that people were listening to, a force that was growing every day. And that's when the system decided to respond, not with support, not with acceptance, but with pressure. But with pressure, criticism increased. Every move was questioned harder. Every word was twisted. Every silence was judged. News, debates, political speeches, public statements, all pointing in one direction. Can he really lead? Is this just popularity? Does he have what it takes? Because when a lion rises, the jungle does not welcome it. It challenges it. There were attempts to slow him down, to distract him, to make him react, because one mistake was all they needed. But he did not react. He did not fall into the trap. He stayed silent when noise was loud. He stayed focused when pressure was high, because he understood something important. This was not about proving others wrong. This was about proving the people right. Meanwhile, his supporters stood stronger. They defended him, they supported him, they trusted him. Even when the noise increased, their belief did not shake, and that belief became his shield. Because no system is stronger than united people. Then came the turning point, a moment that changed everything, a situation where people needed leadership, not speeches, not promises, but action. And in that moment, all eyes turned toward him, waiting, watching, expecting. Would he step forward or step back? And then he stepped forward, not as an actor, not as a celebrity, but as a leader. He spoke, clear, confident, direct, not what people wanted to hear, but what they needed to hear. And in that moment, everything changed. Doubt started fading, criticism started slowing, because now people had seen it. Not just potential, but leadership. The jungle was no longer questioning, it was watching carefully, because the lion had finally shown its strength. When pressure rises, real leaders don't step back, they step forward. There comes a moment in every journey where silence is no longer an option, where waiting ends and action begins. And for Thalapathy Vijay, that moment had arrived. Until now, he had observed, he had understood, he had prepared, but now he was ready, not to support from the background, but to step into the front, not just as a voice, but as a leader. And when he made that decision, it wasn't quiet, it wasn't hidden, it was clear. He was entering politics. The reaction was instant. Supporters celebrated, crowds gathered, voices rose, because what they had hoped for was finally happening. Years of belief, years of waiting, years of trust had turned into reality. Across Tamil Nadu, there was only one discussion. This is the moment. This is the change. This is the beginning. But while supporters celebrated, the system reached faster because this was no longer a possibility. This was a challenge. Political pressure increased, opposition grew stronger, attacks became direct. Not hidden, not indirect, but open. Because now they knew this was real, this was serious, this could change everything. But he did not slow down, he did not hesitate, he did not step back. Because a lion does not step back once it enters the battlefield. Mass gatherings, public speeches, people joining from everywhere. The movement was no longer growing slowly, it was exploding. Youngsters saw hope, families saw trust, communities saw change, and for the first time it felt possible. Real change. He spoke to the people, not like a politician, but like one among them. Simple words, clear thoughts, strong intentions. I am not here for power, I am here for people. And that line echoed everywhere because people did not just hear it, they felt it. And once people feel something, it becomes unstoppable. The gap was closing between hope and reality. The lion was no longer preparing, it was leading, it was moving forward, and the jungle was changing. Because when a lion takes the stage, the entire jungle was to respond. He did not wait for the right time, he became the right time. Every journey leads to a moment where everything is tested, not just strength, but belief, not just words, but actions. And for Thalapathy Vijay, that moment had arrived. The elections, the ultimate test, not of popularity, but of trust. Because crowds can cheer, but votes decides. But votes decide. Support can be loud, but results are silent. Campaigns began. Rallies, speeches, debates, every day, every hour, every moment counted. Opposition was stronger than ever. Experienced leaders, powerful alliances, deep-rooted systems, all standing on the other side. Because now, this was not just a challenge. This was a battle. Attacks increased. Questions became sharper. Doubts became louder. Can he really win? Is this just hype? Will experience defeat popularity? Because history always favors the experience, but sometimes history changes, and that change depends on people. Across Tamil Nadu, something was happening. People were thinking, not emotionally, but carefully, for their future, for their families, for their state, and slowly a decision was forming. Meanwhile, he continued. No shortcuts, no fear, no hesitation. Meeting people, listening again, speaking clearly, not promising everything, but promising honesty. And sometimes honesty is the most powerful promise. Then came the final days. Campaigns ended. Silence began. The waiting started because now everything was in the hands of the people. No speeches, no rallies, only decisions. Voting day. Lines of people, young, old families, all standing for one purpose to choose their future. Votes were cast, time passed, and then the moment came. Results, screens flashed, numbers updated, leads changed, tension everywhere. Because this was history in the making, and slowly, clearly, undeniably, one thing became visible. The people had decided. The lion had won, not by chance, not by luck, but by trust, by belief, by people. Years of journey, moments of doubt, waves of support, all leading to this victory. Because in the end, the jungle did not choose many, it chose one lion. Victory is not given, it's earned. by those who never stop. Victory is not the end, it is the beginning. After all the struggle, after all the pressure, after all the waiting, the result was clear. Thalapathy Vijay had won, but this victory was not just his. But this victory was not just his. It belonged to the people, to every voice that supported him, to every hand that voted, to every heart that believed. Celebrations spread everywhere, streets filled with joy, voices filled with pride. Because for many, this wasn't just a win, it was hope becoming reality. But in the middle of all the celebration, he remained calm because he knew this was not about winning, this was about responsibility. The oath day arrived, a moment that would be remembered forever. Standing there, not as an actor, not as a celebrity, but as the chief minister, a leader chosen by the people as he took the oath. It wasn't just words, it was a promise to serve, a promise to protect, a promise to lead. Because leadership is not about power, it is about responsibility. And now the real change had begun. Because winning is one thing, governing is another. Expectations were high, very high, waiting, hoping for change, and he knew there was no time to waste. Decisions were made, not for show, but for impact. Steps were taken, not for attention, but for progress, helping the people, supporting the youth, strengthening the system. Slowly, change started becoming visible, not overnight, not instantly, but steadily, surely, because real change takes time. But when it begins, it cannot be stopped. And now, the people were not just believing, they were seeing leadership, seeing action, seeing results. The lion had taken its place, not just as a ruler, as a protector, a guide, a leader, because a true leader does not just win hearts, he carries their future. He did not rise for power, he rose for responsibility. Every journey has an ending, but some journeys don't end. They become a legacy. From a simple beginning to a powerful rise, from cinema to leadership, Thalapathy Vijay had completed a journey that very few could imagine. But this story was never just about him. It was about people, about belief, about change. Because one man cannot create history alone. It takes millions of voices standing together, believing together, moving forward together. And that's exactly what happened. A connection was built, not between a leader and followers, but between people and their own hope. Years later, when people look back, they won't just remember the victory, they will remember the journey, the struggles, the doubts, the moments of silence, and the moment everything changed. Because real stories are not about how someone starts, they are about how someone rises and how they carry others with them. Today, the jungle is not the same anymore. The noise is still there, the challenges are still there, but something has changed. There is direction, there is belief, there is hope. Because the lion did not just take power, it protected its jungle, it guided its people, it created a path, and that path will continue beyond one person, beyond one time, beyond one victory. Because true leadership is not about being remembered, it is about creating something that lasts. In a jungle full of animals, there will always be noise, there will always be competition, there will always be chores. But in the end, only one thing matters, the road that leads them all, and that road belongs to the lion. He did not follow the rules, he became the rule.